Hello, my name is Owen. Today I'll be ranking the top 5 fantasy series that I'm scared of. Quite frankly, I'm spooked. I'm intimidated. I'm on the back foot. Now, the reason for this is these are all 5 series that I want to read and probably will read realistically, but for one reason or another, I'm hesitant. I'm dragging my feet. So it's up to you, if you're a fan of these series, to throw in the comments why I should get over whatever my mundane fears are. And like I said, I'll probably read all these anyway. I just think it'd be fun to talk about because there are specific things that are holding me back. Starting in at number 5, you're already going to get up in arms. It's The Realm of the Elderlings by Robin Hobb. And I know what you're going to say. If you're a friend of all of the channel, if you know me at all, you know I just finished the Farseer trilogy and I loved it. It was one of the greatest things I ever read in my entire life. So you're probably saying, Owen, you can't put this on the list because you already started the series, number 1. And number 2, you loved it. So what are you so afraid of? It's the classic, well, first of all, shut up, it's my ranking. It's the classic example of I'm worried that it'll get worse. And I know what you're going to say. I already bought the Live Ship Traders trilogy, and everyone says that that trilogy is so much better than the Farseer trilogy. Farseer trilogy is kind of controversial, but some people don't like it. Live Ship Traders is like one of the greatest works of all time. So you're being an idiot. However, I understand that, and I'm very excited to read it. However, I liked the Farseer trilogy so much that I am horrified that if I read there's 2 more trilogies about Fitz's story is done in my eyes. It's done. The trilogy ended. He had his ending. So you're telling me there's 9 books of just him, and then there's 6 books of random stuff going on in the universe? I'm a little hesitant. And I'm sure it's great, and I'm definitely going to read it probably within the year. But I'm hesitant, all right? I don't want it to sully my memory of my boy Fitz. He's one of my favorite characters of all time. I don't want him to be old and decrepit and fall down some stairs and break his neck and that's how he dies and then Night Eyes cries over his body, okay? I don't want that to happen. And I have no idea what happens in these later books. That's why I'm hesitant. But it's number 5 because I'm definitely going to read this very soon. Anyway, number 4 is the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. This series has been on my TBR for a very long time, and recently I've been seeing a lot of hate posts on it. They're most overrated series of all time. Literally junk. Why is it gonna be like this? And I'm like, yo, relax, okay? It's well renowned. It's almost on everybody's list, but it's been on a lot of overrated lists recently that I've seen just by happenstance, and I'm kind of hey, should I be investing my time in this series, or is it overrated? I hear it's a little sciencey too, science fantasy. Not something I'm always super invested in, so I'm a little hesitant there. So number 4. I feel like I'm not going to be reading this one anytime soon, so I got a little bit of time to gestate, process information, then decide later. Number 3, this is going to be controversial. Everyone's going to be yelling at me. Discworld. The Discworld series. And this is another kind of caveat one. I did read a couple books in Discworld already. I read Guards, and I read Mort. However, the thing that intimidates me about this series, and I like both of those books, is that every time I look up reading order, they throw a chart at me. If you can't just give me a list, you gotta throw a chart at me, there's issues. I'm sorry, Terry, there's issues with your series. And you could say you could read them as standalone, you could just read them as little sagas, the Witches saga, the Guards saga. Brother, I need a straight line because I know you can say you don't have to read all the books, but I would simply have to. My brain would not allow me not to do it. And literally the charts are the only reason why I'm not doing it. And everyone's oh, just start at Guards. I already did that. I already started at Guards, and I literally did not know where to go next. And I could have looked up the chart for a 4th time, couldn't have been bothered, and it's been years since I read that book. And quite frankly, I feel like I couldn't just read the one after Guards now, and I gave Ray my copy, so I'd have to buy Guards again to start. I need a straight line. It's a little bit too complicated. I like the humor, really funny, satirical, ha ha ha. If it's a chart, it scares me. I'm quite frankly horrified. Get it done better. And I know there's a lot of Discworld up in arms people, but I'm gonna be honest with you. It's too complicated for me. I'm not smart enough to comprehend a chart. The Death Saga, apparently I wasn't supposed to read Mort first. Why did I read that? It was literally out of nowhere. I thought it sounded interesting. A little kid's death? That sounds so good. Apparently I wasn't supposed to read it in that order. Anyway, Number 2, we have the Age of Madness trilogy by Joe Abercrombie. This is another weird one because I read the First Law trilogy and I read all 3 standalones. The only 3 books left in like the First Law world is this sequel trilogy. However, I'm hesitant because of the way the First Law trilogy made me feel. I really liked it. I talked about on the channel how much I liked it. However, it was the darkest thing I've ever read in a book. I never read like pure grimdark before I read that series. And when I finished it a couple years ago, when I tell you that like I was legitimately physically upset in my real life after finishing that series about how futile life is, I had to take a break from reading fantasy full stop after First Law for like a couple of months too. And while I loved it, I think it's masterclass modern fantasy writing, probably some of the best in the last 20 years, period, full stop. And the fact that I had a visceral reaction at all is like a testament to its pure artistic genius. But that feeling was actually atrocious. Like, you know, it made me legitimately sad. And if the Age of Madness is anything like that, the only reason that's holding me back is I don't know if I want to feel that sad again. And I've never said that on a piece of art before. Like, you know what? I like the occasional sad movie, get a good cry out. This genuinely affected my worldview. I don't know if it's worth it. But I love Joe Abercrombie. And I think that I've heard great things about this sequel trilogy, so I'll be definitely checking it out. I'm just horrified. Very, very frightened. Number 1, another incredibly popular fantasy series, we have The Wheel of Time. This is a staple of the fantasy genre. Some say it's a must-read. Some say it's a skipper. You could skip it. But it's so iconic. It's just on, in my estimation, from like being in the fantasy space, it's just under Lord of the Rings, or maybe not just under, but it's next after Lord of the Rings in terms of like iconic fantasy series, like of all time. But I've heard mixed things. I've heard it's kind of generic in some place. I've heard like, oh, well, it doesn't really get good until book 6. Book 6, brother? There's like 16 books. And I don't know if I can invest myself in that long of a series, because like Malazin's a long series. Love Malazin. But it's good from page 1. If I gotta wait till like book 6 to be good, is it really a classic? Like, I'm afraid like I would read it, become the biggest hater of all time, and then probably be killed in the fantasy community. And also I hear that's like the writing for characters is like really hit or miss. Like the male characters are like pretty good, but the women characters are like actually atrocious. And there's like a bunch of memes about it. It's like, dude, if like half your characters, and I've seen the show, and this people hate the show. I liked season 1 of the show. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. And like half the characters were women. So unless they like gender bend characters, if half the characters are complete doo-doo in the books, why am I reading this series? And that's like a consistent thing. That's not like, oh, well, in book 7, actually all the characters are written well. No. And like, there's like, I don't know how many books there are, 12, 14, 16. And like the last couple are written by Brandon Sanderson. I like Brandon Sanderson, but it's also like not Brandon Sanderson. It's like him like looking through manuscripts and like putting stuff together. Can I just watch the show? And I know like Wheel of Time fans are gonna be like, the show. But like, isn't it the same? I'm gonna get in trouble for that one, I think. If any Wheel of Timers see this video, I'm gonna get in trouble. But it's a fantasy staple, so I feel like I should. But I don't really want to. That's why it's my number 1, because it's my most controversial. So those are the top 5 fantasy series that I am afraid to read. It's a lighthearted video. Don't take anything too seriously. If you're watching this, Joe Abercrombie, your books are too sad, bro. Add a little bit of sunshine. Maybe I'll read them. I'm kidding so much. I've read 6 of his books. Great guy. And it's got a movie coming out too, which is exciting. And at this point, I don't even know why I'm talking anymore. Be sure to like and subscribe if you like this video. And if you like more content like this, let me know. I'll be sure to make more. These videos are so easy for me to make because I just stare blankly at the camera and talk to my heart's content. It's a great time. Thanks for sticking around.